Welcome everybody to Hunting the Country 704 Style. This is John McPherson. I'm the host of 704 Outdoors TV, and we have a awesome guest today that I'm excited to introduce you to, Mr. Jonathan Peck of Medeo Creek Thermal.
What's going on, everybody?
Yeah, so, man, I tell you, I had the pleasure of meeting Jonathan a few years ago, and it all kind of started with a mutual friend of ours, Mr. Jason Brooks from Sniper Hog Lights. We've talked for years, and we always trying to line up a trip. I've been talking about coming to Texas for so long, couldn't stand it, and finally I said, you know what, we're going to have to do it. And so we had made these plans, and he said, you know, when you're down, I want to introduce you to a good friend of mine, John. He's got a cool ranch, and we can go down there and hunt with him, and he's got all kinds of toys, and we'll go out and play and have a good time. I said, hey, man, I'm down for whatever. So, and here we go.
Right.
We met here at the Medeo.
Yeah, I still remember the day Jason called me. I met Jason at a hog contest, and we just first started. We were kind of getting into the thermal thing, and it's probably been 5 years ago. And I remember being at that contest, Jason walking around doing lives the whole time on his phone. I was like, who is this cat with this live and these really cool scopes and all this stuff? He had the lights and everything, and we got to talking. And then one night I was down there by myself, and I said, man, that guy, I got his number. So I'm going to call him, see if he wants to come hunt. Yeah. And him and Ashley came down here, and we hunted. We had a good time, dude. I threw him out of the buggy the first night. That first night was epic,
way to get
dude.
Started.
So it was so funny because I didn't really throw him out of the buggy. I say he fell out of the buggy, but it was a long story. But that happened, and then we were walking back from shooting. We thought we were going to shoot some hogs, and there was some javelina. Right. So we turned around and walked back. Well, Ashley's walking back, and she falls. She trips and hits and lands in a cactus, dude.
Oh,
yeah, it was bad. And she has some like blue jeans on, and man, wow. And they right on her rumpus, you know. And anyway, and then Jason was so funny. He's like, you know, I own a light business, you know. He's like, why don't you have a headlamp on? But anyway, we made it through, and then after that, man, we just became really good friends. And I remember him calling me and saying, you know, you want to do a TV show? I'm like, well, who? 704 Outdoors. I'm like, yeah, why not, dude? Yeah. Bring them on. Let's see what happens.
Oh, yeah.
You know, what, that's been 4 years now?
Yeah, now it's an annual trip.
Yeah.
It's an annual trip, man. I love it down here. I just, I hunt all across the country, and I enjoy hogs. You know, as most of the viewers and listeners know, that is my love is chasing hogs. And Texas has always been known as like the mecca of wild hogs.
Right.
And for years and years and years, I've kind of perfected my craft in the Carolinas. And then I was like, you know, I want to go to this place that I just hear about, just pigs on top of pigs on top of pigs. And finally it's worked out. Now it's just on the schedule every year. Yeah. We're coming. Look out. Sure. Coming down to the Medeo. Yeah. And a lot of you guys follow us on social media. You guys be sure to keep up with all of our Facebook and Instagram, TikTok, and all that. And you'll see all the content over the years from Medeo Creek and all the hashtags. Actually, you can see the hashtags. Was it Down on the Medeo?
Down on the Medeo, yeah.
You look at that hashtag, and you'll see not only our adventures, but all of Jason's and yours and everybody that comes to the Medeo.
And then we got the one hashtag. It's not a very well-known one. It's called hashtag Out of the Buggy. Yeah. And that is one that me and Jason did, or actually Jason did it, but we always said out the buggy, you know, because we shoot them a lot of times out of our electric vehicle, you know, our little Polaris, you know, ATV, right. But we figure that's cool because it's cool. Yeah. Really and truly, you know, out of the buggy, you know, and like see how far you can shoot them and stuff like that. Yeah. And just like last night, rolled up on that coyote, smoked him, and never looked back and just kept traveling to get the pigs because, you know, the coyotes don't get a pass around here.
Not at all. I didn't even, I was behind you and I was looking and I said, what is he looking at? And I heard you, boop, boop. And I said, oh, okay, thump. I was like, oh, he got him.
Got him. And then but he was so close to where we were going to get on those pigs that I didn't want to waste any time.
Yeah,
and
keep going.
It obviously worked out. I guess we'll get into that later, but that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and just to let you guys know, for the listeners, so the Medeo is a ranch here in Texas, and it's laid out kind of, I guess there's what we call the white road down the whole.
Yeah, so the white road is
border
the
on one
oil
side.
field. So when the oil field guys had some gas wells and stuff like that, that they maintain that white road. So we call the white road is just it circles around not the whole ranch, but the top part of the ranch. So if you're on the white road, you're just making a circle from the house up to the top and then back down. So we call that the white road.
Right.
And then then of course we got the bottom, and we've been through all that. But
And so there's these great roads that run all the way through the ranch to all these different stands, and so based off of the cell cams telling us the information, we have a couple Ranger EVs that we just run from one side of the ranch to the other. I can remember when we first got here, and they were like, "Well, they're over here at this bait." So we ran down there, shot at those pigs, and we didn't even so much as get done with those pigs. And they said, "Okay, they're over here at this other stand." And I'm like, "This is what I've been talking about. Like, this is a dream come true."
That first year was like, man, that's back. So when we bought this place, it was shot out. So I'll just tell you now, the guy had just let his buddies come down here, and they were just riding around, just shooting everything daytime. I'm talking about deer, whatever. So in Texas, you can ride around in your vehicle and shoot. I don't know if a lot of listeners know that. That's completely legal. I mean, not on a county road, but on your own private road you can. And we didn't hardly see any deer. Yeah. I mean, I can remember my dad telling me, "Where are all the deer?" Well, you got to drive real fast, and you'll see them run off when you sneak up on, when you run up on them. But now, as you see. Like last night, I'm like, God, it's another freaking deer, Now we got the place going the way it is, and I think a lot of that is because of the predator control.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're trying to take care of coyotes. We had a federal trapper even come out here, and plus all the coyotes we kill.
Yeah.
And then the hogs, and then we try and maintain for the turkey, the coons and the skunks and all the other animals and stuff like that. My dad traps the raccoons, and I think he's already up to like 30 or 40 this year.
Wow.
I think he had 100 and something last year.
Yeah.
And we still seen them, right?
Oh, yeah, we still see them. And we were discussing trying to do a critter roundup, which we will definitely, I think, on the next trip. I think it will be a fun one. We were having fun last night, and old Beth, she tapped out a little early on us. So I was like, well, we're not doing can't split up in teams and do the critter roundup, but we'll do it another time because the turkey population since I've been here has exploded in the last few years.
It really has. Yeah, I mean, it really has because we only had, I can remember when we first got here, we had some turkey, but it just wasn't nothing like what you see now. And we're continuing, we're passionate about turkey hunting down here. And we want, and if it takes trapping and doing all that stuff to get our turkey population up, I mean, I'm 100% believer in it because I've seen it here now. I mean, early before the season started, when they were really doing the rut, you'd have, 4 or 5 here, 4 or 5 there. I mean, just big gobblers, and that's so much fun. And, I just love turkey hunting too. So.
Yeah, they've been playing on your emotions this trip.
Yeah, this trip was tough, dude. I had my nephew down here. So before John and him came down there, my nephew wanted to get a turkey, and dude, they just, oh man, I was dying, dude. And then I don't know if you'll show it on the show, but then me and John are driving around. We're trying to get a hog with a bow, and this freaking gobbler's, 30 yards. And we drive right up to him. He's strutting, and he doesn't even care we're there. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. I'm like, come on.
Yeah. Then we had we come down. What was there? Like 3 or 4 strutters on the same road.
Yeah, that one was like, one was running away, and he'd stop and he'd strut, and he'd look at the hens, and he'd look back at us. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me, man. I was like, yeah. It was
and then we set up and tried to call hogs. He had the convergent game call, and he was playing pig sounds, and I hear gobbling. Yeah, and I'm like,
what?
Are they coming to the hog calls? And I lean out, and I look to my right, and here comes 3 gobblers in full strut coming to pig sounds.
20 yards from me. Just gobbling. And I'm like.
And I had my bow in my hand, and I was like, no, they love turkeys. I got to put my bow on safety.
Right. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But.
Yeah, that was wild. And then, what was it? Last night, we were sitting there. It was after dark, and when we dropped something in a buggy, and a turkey gobbled out of the tree right beside us, and I about fell out of the buggy laughing because I was like, they are just tormenting you.
I told John, I said, well, at least you know where they're roosting now. I mean, they were like literally right above us in the tree, 50 yards away. I was like, golly.
Yeah. Oh man, so it's been an awesome time here down on the Medio. But another key is Medio itself. It comes from, I guess, the creek that's here, but John owns Medeo Creek Thermal. And so that is his optic company. And tell me a little bit about, let the listeners know exactly what is Medeo Creek Thermal.
Well, the name comes from the ranch, of course. It's Medio in Spanish, and I'm probably not saying that right. It just means Middle Creek.
Yeah.
Because we're between two towns, kind of, about halfway between both ones. But as far as the business started off just as kind of like a hobby. Wanted to thermal hunt and sell a few scopes, and now it's just, gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. But
absolutely.
We sell for iRay, Pulsar, Envision, Bearing Optics. Missing anybody? I think that's about it. Yeah. But we kind of specialize in just thermals.
And thermals.
We did some night vision.
I think you did. Yeah, you did.
We did some night vision for a while, and I just kind of decided, look, we're a small company. We don't have a bunch of people or anything like that. So just for our bang for the buck, just kind of stay with the thermal stuff.
Like a specialty, yeah. So just specialty on the thermal optics. Yeah. And so that was, when we were talking, I think, we were going over all the different, regions and things like that. And we've had great discussions on, the thermals that work here, thermals work on the East Coast, thermals that work up north. And so kind of, how do you start out with your customer to figure out exactly what are they looking for? Because a lot of times I think they just see stuff on YouTube or something, and they think that's what they want, so they call you and say, hey, I need something.
I need this, I need that, and I'm but if I could tell the listeners anything, find a reputable dealer. I've probably said that wrong, but and call him. And like my thing is, I want people to call.
Right.
And we can talk about where you're hunting. We can talk about what you're doing. Because what's going to fit me in Texas is not necessarily going to fit somebody in North Carolina.
Right.
You've said down here 100 times, your terrain is so different.
Absolutely.
The weather, what style of hunting? Are you running gun? Are you sitting in a blind? Are you, just shooting off your back porch at your home place? Or what are you doing, So, and another misconception is that, everybody thinks that you got to spend $8,000 to get a good thermal. And that's, as you know, that's not true. I mean,
no, and it depends on like you said, the style. And I think that's kind of what was kind of piqued my attention when you said, well, first of all, I got to find out what they're trying to do with it. And I was like, I never thought about that. I just always thought like, oh, I want a Pulsar XP50, or I want a Trijicon MK360, because they're seeing people that they follow on social media and on different YouTube, they're seeing those optics and they're like, I need to get that. But really, sometimes it's not enough, or it's too much optic for what they're doing.
And that's the thing that we pride ourselves on at my company is, the guys that help me is customer relations and, just taking care of our customers. I've actually had customers call me and say, hey man, I want, I just pick a scope, a $5,000 scope, whatever it is. And I said, what are you planning on hunting? Well, I got 50 acres and I plan on just sitting in my blind. I'm like, man, to be honest with you, you don't need that.
Right.
You don't need to spend $5,000. You can get a really good scope for $2,000, $2,500. It'll do everything you want.
Yeah.
Because you're not running and gunning. Yeah. You're just sitting in a blind and you're only going to be shooting 100 yards. Now, that's another thing, too, about shooting 100 yards. But guys will say, well, I only want to shoot about 100, 150 yards. But you still want to be able to see what's out there.
Yes. You need to know what you're shooting.
What you're looking at, There might be something,
But I'm sure you probably also had somebody be like, oh, I want to get a Hogster 25, but I want to, shoot out 300 yards.
You're like,
wait a second.
See, now we're getting into base. So like the Hogster 25, the scope he's talking about, it's like a 1.3 base mag or something like that. So with thermals, every time you start off at a certain base mag, and then that's your best resolution. And every time you zoom in, it cuts that resolution in half. Just like the other night, Glenn had his on accident on 4-power.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I can't see nothing.
I'm like, dude, it looks like crap. Yeah.
It's like you're at like 108 resolution right now, from 384,
Yeah.
But, so I mean, there's just so many more. There's so much goes into it, John. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, and it's investment. They're not cheap,
No.
And
and it's surprisingly how well they hold their value as well, and because everybody's always upgrading, so it is an investment. It's not like I feel like digital night vision and things like that. I can't tell you how many that we purchased for like guided rental guns that the optic itself was like an $800 digital night vision. Well, I bought it for $200. secondhand. They haven't
Yeah.
even had it on a rifle but one season because it just doesn't really
Yeah.
hold like a thermal does.
Well, it's just a lot easier to operate. Now, there's a time and a place for digital night vision. Like, I get customers call me and say, hey, man, I only want to spend $1,000.
Right.
And I'm like, you want to buy thermal? And they're like, yeah. And I said, look, Jason now, he sells the digital with his lights.
Oh yeah, he's got the
The Ronin,
now. That
dude,
thing
that
is
sucker's
bad,
good.
son.
Yeah.
Oh,
For
it's
digital
like-
night vision, that thing's good. And I'm not hating on it. I mean,
Yeah.
digital night vision, there's a time and a place for that
Yeah.
too. Then that's what I'll tell a customer. My thing is, I'm a hunter also.
Right.
So I'm not looking to, if you're not going to spend the money to get a decent thermal, I suggest going with digital
Yeah,
night vision.
yeah, yeah.
For under $1,000, you can get that Ronin from Jason and the light, and I don't know what his price is on it, but I think you get the whole package,
the package
right?
deal, yeah. I think
So,
you can
yeah.
do the 66 LRX, or you might be able to do the Canon. I think it's 66 LRX. I think he's got a package for both of them, but yeah, because I think like the old, I look back at the old when we first started messing with digital night vision, was like the Sightmark Photon and the Photon XL and the RT and stuff like that. And
That
that's
Photon
what
was a good scope.
That Photon, yeah. And I tell you, I actually got 4 of them because and that's exactly what I'm telling you is I bought them used for my rental rifles because I tell you, you give a rental rifle to a hunter, they're going to drop it, they're going to kick it, it don't matter. They're going to drop it in a box stand, they're going to, and so I tend not to put high dollar stuff in people's hands, just because I can't tell you how many times I've gotten it back and they're like, oh, well, the IR broke off the side, and I'm like, how in the world did that happen?
It happens, though,
It
man.
does. It
really
happens a
does.
lot. So,
I mean,
so I got those, and when I picked them up, it was, because everybody's asking me like, well, how much can you get the Photons? I'm like, man, look on. You can usually, for somebody who's upgraded to a thermal or something like that, or has got a better digital night vision, let's say they got the Photon and they want to go to like the Ronin or something like that, then they generally sell them a couple $100, $200-$300, and you get you a little cheap, kick around. Something that doesn't really matter. But like on the thermal side, like the investment side of it, I feel like a lot of the guys will grab them and they can upgrade, and it's about at where they got them, if not just a couple $100 off of the price.
Now
So they really hold their value.
Yeah, they do. And like I said, and that's the thing about when you deal with us. You call me, and I tell people all the time, my hunting brain costs my sales brain money.
Yeah.
Because I'm too honest sometimes. You know what I mean? I'm just like, dude, you don't need that. Just all you need, get this, get that. You're going to be sitting in a blind, get your feeder light, and, roll with it. But now if you want to run and gun like we do on your TV show, you need to spend a little money, because otherwise what you're going to do is you're going to buy a $1,500 thermal or $1,000 thermal. They sell them. They're 256 resolution. We don't sell them.
Yeah.
Because we don't sell anything that we don't hunt with.
Right.
I would not hunt with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, 'cause especially if you go up and you're like, oh, is that a pig?
No,
that's
we're just not
that's
doing
an
it.
armadillo at 50 yards.
Yeah, right. I know. I always say, I said, you haven't lived till you crawl through three barbed wire fences thinking it's a big old pig and it's just an armadillo right over there at 40 yards, But, but,
I think I did that with Woodley. I did that with one. I think the
y'all did.
humidity was horrible.
Oh, it was terrible that night, yeah.
And I couldn't, there's 2 out there, and I was like, those are pigs.
Because, man, an
They
armadillo
gotta
with the
be
round back looks just
Oh,
like a
yeah.
pig, but it looks like
Oh.
you think the pig's about 200 yards, but he's
Yeah.
only about 50 yards. And
Oh,
you're like,
yeah.
oh, I'm going to him.
Oh, yeah, we
Yeah.
did. I said, man, we put on one hell of a stock on 2 armadillos.
I remember that now. Yeah, that was funny. That was something else.
Yeah.
That was back.
Yeah.
And then we got on that one August. That was funny that night, dude. I had both my hips replaced, and
Oh,
man,
yeah,
my hips
you
were
were
killing me
hurt,
back then.
yeah.
And John goes, "Well, we can crawl through the fence here, or we can walk away." I said, "You know how far that is?" And John goes, "We can walk down there if you don't want to crawl through the fence." I'm like, I just start taking stuff off to get through the fence. I was like, I'm out.
He was
I'm like, just, can we get this over here and get y'all back to North Carolina? Y'all are wearing me out.
I know it, man. I tell you, he was hurting. What was that? A couple years ago.
And that was like the second year out there.
Yeah, because he
hurting.
was hurting bad, and I know the one night we were like, one more. I think one more shoot will do it.
Yeah.
I think we got enough. We got enough for a show. It'll do 2 shows, but it's not. 1.5. I think just one more shoot will do it. And he's like, All right.
This is after being down here for 3 nights, and then we went home, and I called a friend of mine, Kenneth Woodley, and I said, "Hey, dude, you want to take us hunting?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Man, after this, I'm done, John.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
done."
Oh yeah, and you had to, you went and had your hips replaced.
We weren't really in sync like we are now.
Yeah.
You know, back then we were only getting enough content to really do 1-2 shows, and I think we're doing a lot better now.
Oh yeah.
Kind of learning me learning what.
Oh yeah. With
What
the
needs to be
B-roll
done.
and the
Yeah, and all that
storyline.
stuff.
That way the viewers, they can keep up with the story, and it just doesn't bounce everywhere. And that's just years in the making. And so now, I mean, there'll be times, honestly, today we were coming back from looking at some pigs that we filmed doing some, or the shoot that we had last night. We were just finishing up the segment on the show. And we were coming back, and we're just like, just coming back, and all of a sudden you say, "Hey, look at those blossoms on the cactus." And
Yeah,
I'm like,
I did notice stuff.
I said, "My cinematographer here, look out, man." And so sure enough, so we went over there, and I'm like, it was a great transition piece, something that we could use in the show. Literally, I mean, blooms of flowers with bees inside of them. Oh, man.
Yeah, they're the cactus flowers, pico pear, whatever they call them,
Right.
Cactuses, but they have a beautiful yellow flower, and
Yeah.
there's normally some bugs flying in there. So when I kind of caught up my eye, I said, "Man, you want to still?" Man, I thought we were going to be there like 2 minutes. I think we were there 30 minutes. It seemed like he's over there just more pictures. I'm like, golly, I got this started.
Yeah, I know. I was videoing it. A bee went in there, and he was doing the backstroke in the pollen. And
It's
then,
cool where you can see that pollen
butterfly,
on them too.
yeah.
I mean, you see it on National Geographic, but seeing it in person's pretty neat too. I mean, it's all over them, dude.
And that's the thing. Sometimes I always enjoy when people's creativeness kick in. For me, I guess it's always been like the hunt, the kill, the introduction, the exit. And then when I go with people, sometimes they help me by they're like, "Oh, check this out," like you did today. And then same thing, like I went with Josh Sanders. We were hunting at Swamp Devil Outfitters, and we were there, and I see him out in the field, like looking up in the air, spinning in circles, and I'm like, he has lost his mind. What's going on?
Oh, that's that musician you were telling me that?
Yeah,
okay,
the musician.
Yeah,
so
okay.
he's up there spinning around, and I'm like, I said, he has lost it. I said, oh, poor Josh is breaking on me here. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, look at these trees. And then with the wide view on the camera, they kind of curved over. They had a curvature to them. So as he was spinning and he came down, it was a perfect transition thing. Right. And I'm like, things like that get picked up, because I'm thinking like, get there, set the stands, kill the pigs, then think of like the B-roll, some of the stuff, but a lot of the different like transition stuff, it's always interesting. Different points of view, and I love it. I eat it up, man. Definitely gives a different point of view on it. But yeah, there's been many years, of kind of growing, and now you're right in the mix.
We're doing good. Yeah,
let's go do some B-roll. Let's get
some
stuff. Let's go do B-roll.
Normally we try and get somebody down here a day or two early for you guys get here, and we'll drive around and just have a good time. Just not doing any hunting, just driving around, getting stuff ready. And this year I had my nephew come down. We were trying to do some turkey hunting, but it broke his heart. You broke his heart, dog, because I was like, we got to go roost the bird, but we're going to take the thermal with us, just in case on the way home. And we go by there, and there's 5 hogs at the feeder. And he looks at me, he goes,
no.
Man, we can't shoot no hogs. And I'm like, no, brother, we're going to have to wait. I said, if we see a coyote now, you shoot it. Yeah. So if we see a coyote, you can, but we didn't see any. And then, of course, when y'all got here that first night, it was like somebody flipped a switch.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I'm riding around last night. We're sitting there looking at hogs in daytime and all this other stuff's going on. I'm like, oh, it's going to be so good. And then it's just like, shut off, dude.
This podcast, this is going to go live here in a few days, so you're going to have to look back. But for all the listeners, what he's talking about is the eclipse.
Oh, yeah.
Remember? That's what we were like. It was a new moon. All kinds of stuff
just
was happening.
Weird, man.
It was weird. Yeah, it was like the
woods
hogs
were weird.
The hogs all during the day. The hogs were active. We were hearing coyotes fire up
3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it's hot here.
Yeah,
it's like 85,
and we're like, what are they doing? Yeah, it was wild.
It did have them messed up, man. I don't know. I mean, I can't explain it. And then we finally got and we had the heavy humidity and all that.
Which that's actually a great topic, as we were talking about how to find a great scope for people. That just struck with me, the humidity part. The first part of the trip it was tough.
Bad first 3 nights.
The humidity really does play a big factor in
nights, yeah.
thermal optics, and I think a lot of people, they don't understand that too. Especially like sometimes when they look at videos, they're like, "Oh, that's horrible looking image." I'm like, "Yeah, that's 98% humidity."
We
like you don't
started
realize
hunting, it was 90.
Yeah.
That the last few nights. The last night we did have a good clear night,
Right.
but yeah, and that's another thing too. Like back to the low end thermal.
Right.
Like if you live in the South,
Yeah.
everybody's going to deal with the high humidity. So when you buy that low end thermal, on good nights, 50, 60, 70% humidity, yeah, they're okay.
Really good, yeah.
But dude, when the humidity falls in, you can't, and it's a safety issue.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand that too, because a novice hunter or something like that doesn't know how the animal moves, and then make the wrong decision. You should never ever shoot unless you're 100% sure.
Right.
I hate the word. I hate hearing it has to be a pig. No, it doesn't have to be a pig.
Yeah. It doesn't.
No, not at all.
No, because there's a lot of times we've seen. I mean, you're looking at a deer quartering away that's just feeding and moving. I mean, if you're not paying attention, it looks like a hog.
Yeah.
Right. And especially quartering away, you can't see that neck. It's just like sort of walking away, moving, and you're like, and then all of a sudden, it picks its head up and looks, and you're like, oh.
Dude,
Dang! That's a deer.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's definitely when you get in like humidity in the lower end scopes, it's tough to identify, and that's where you're talking about like identifying, especially in any distance.
Yeah, for sure. And then when I say lower end scopes, I'm talking like we normally for a long time we wouldn't sell any scope under 2,000. Now we have one that's 1,800, and then we do have one that's 1,600. But the $1,600 one is strictly for blind. I tell the guys can make their own decision.
Right.
I mean, but I tell them this is something. If you're going to be sitting in a blind, you're going to be shooting, 100 to 150 yards or inside that. This is good. Now the other one for 1,800 is a new company. That's a company I forgot. Rick's selling for them too, and it's a solid unit, and it's a really good little coyote hunter beginner kind of. We call them entry level.
Right.
It's 384, 50 hertz. It's a really good deal, but. There again, it's 1,800 and high humidity.
Oh yeah,
it falls apart, dude. Yeah. But it for the money, it's really nice. So the misconception that you got to spend $7-8 to get in the woods is that's over with. I mean,
well, and the good thing is and for me, I know because I've seen you do it so many times. But for the listeners, when an optic comes out, John actually takes it out and runs around the Medea and a couple other places and uses it and runs through all the different, even all the color palettes. I got videos over here, like I was going through to pick up videos for the show here off of the optic he was using, and he's killing hogs in every single palette that's available on the and I'm looking at it, I'm like, I said, did you really go out there and kill a pig in every single palette? He's like, well, I mean, people want to know what it looks like.
Right, yeah, because some people like those different palettes and stuff like that because they're easier on your eye and everything else.
Yeah, so he was like, he said, well, some of them are pretty cool, but he just takes every single optic out. So when he's talking to you, he's really, you're telling them from experience.
Right. And that's what I tell people. I know you can go to the big box store and buy, or your gun shop, your local gun shop, they're probably going to have them. But when you buy from us, we have run every scope that we sell.
Right.
And we know, and we try, and we're not 100%, but like, I don't know how many times I've had customers call me at 2 o'clock in the morning and I pick up the phone. They're like, oh, hey, what are you doing? I said, dude, I'm hunting too, So you're out in the woods with your son or you're with your friends and you're having a problem with your optic. I mean, we do our best to, customer service to try and, walk you through it if we can fix it over the phone or anything. So like when I say like if you buy from the big box store, I mean, what are you going to do there? Those guys don't know.
Oh yeah, and I think a lot of those salespeople too are just based off what the box says.
Right.
I mean, the outside of the box has the features and all the information. But they've never actually even looked through one, so they couldn't even tell you exactly what it can and can't do.
Right. Exactly. Like just for instance, when you're hunting in high humidity. I've had guys call me and say, man, my scope looks terrible. What's the humidity? Well, it's 95. Okay, turn your contrast all the way up. Right. Or, I forget which sequence it is. Turn your brightness all the way up, your contrast all the way down. I know it's actually contrast all the way up and brightness down. And find a different level so you can see the animal. You might not be able to see the surroundings, but the animal's going to pop.
Yeah.
Because the contrast is way high.
Oh, yeah.
And now you're getting better humidity. You even it back out. Just little things like that. I mean,
like
hard reset, or whatever. Lost. Hey, my reticle reticle won't turn on because they
Right.
pushed too many buttons and
Yeah.
made it disappear.
Especially at night, it's so easy
Yeah,
to do. You get
yeah.
to pushing buttons.
And then you let your buddy run the scope, and he's
Yeah.
just mashing on all kinds of stuff. And
I mean, you're thinking even on a day scope, you let somebody borrow it and they change the eye relief, and you're like, "Oh my God, something's wrong."
Yeah, right.
So now imagine that times 3 buttons.
oh, I'm fixing to
and
throw
50
Paul. I'm gonna
different
throw
settings.
Paul under the bus right now. So. Your buddy Paul him and Nikki got that scopes, and he's like, "Man, Nikki's scope looks so good. It's so badass and
Right.
all this stuff." And Paul got the better scope,
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, "What about the Pulsar?" And he's like, "Yeah, but man, that Hogster looks so much better." I'm like,
What?
"What?" So I'm like,
come
and he
again?
sends me a video. I'm like, "Bro, do you know what an eye relief is?" He's like, "What are you talking about?" I said, so I hit the mic. I said, "That eye relief right by your eye, twist that." Okay, let me get my. He go, "Holy!" And I'm like, "Yeah, it looks a lot better now." And he's like, "Oh man, that's so. I didn't even know that was there." I'm like, "Yeah, that really helps."
Yeah. I know. I actually did a stalk with a couple guys, Larry and Isaiah, on their first pigs, and we stalked down, and I'm like looking, and I'm running the Yoder from you on the DNA, and I'm like looking, and I'm like, the image is not looking all that great. I was like, man, I said, I have been putting a hurting on this optic. I mean, because we have been just running a gun with it forever. And I was like sitting there thinking, and I grabbed a hold of that focus and turned it somehow or another. I guess I had moved it, And I'm like, oh, that's a lot better.
Yeah, that works better. It's just the little things like that, man, that we try and provide. Just like a customer will send me a video, and I can see the settings. Down on some of the scopes, I can see why you don't need it on ultra, you need it on high. How much humidity you're running in, but most of the time people when they get their first thermal and they haven't looked through one, they don't. That it's still cool.
Yeah,
it looks great to them, but I'm like, it can look so much better. So. That's what we try and do. Yeah. That's how we try and separate ourselves from other dealers, giving a little bit more customer service and just being there for our customers. Not checking on them, make sure they're happy with their optic, and and it's just that's the way we do it.
And knowing with you guys actually running them too, because I will say, we won't mention optic, but I think it was 2 years ago. I remember you had just come in from hunting all night, and you were like, "Yeah, we're not selling this optic." So we're going to send it back. And he said, and I think the company, you were even having a conversation with the company. You said, "I'm sorry." I was like, I can't give this to my customers.
I know what it was too. I remember now.
So you were like, we're not going to do it. We're not going to sell it. I said, if you guys, and I remember you saying it, if you guys improve it or fix it, send me another one. I said, I don't mind, but after, but
I ran it, but I was like, no, man, I can't do it. I mean, that's the thing. That's that hunting brain. Gets in the way. It sells.
Absolutely,
and so I'm just like, no, I would not hunt with this thing another night. I'm done. I'm not going to try and sell it, and I'm not going to push it to somebody.
Right.
I mean, just if I don't believe in a product, we're not going. You won't see it on our website.
Margins don't
matter.
Care. Yeah,
I mean, I really don't.
As long as the customer's happy too, and on top of that, you want to make sure you steer them in the right direction, and that they're hunting and having a good time, and that just again, good customer service.
Right.
Yeah. So that was as far as the different optics and the different regions, and I guess game animals too. As far as hogs and coyotes, there's definitely a difference on, the style of hunter. You're talking about running and gunning, but somebody, like you said, is going to be a hog hunter. Now your coyote hunters, you're seeing a different variation of optics.
So I'll ask guys, I'll say, are you a coyote hunter / pig hunter? Or like myself, I like hunting pigs, but of course I hunt coyotes too.
Yeah.
But my primary thing is pigs.
Yeah.
So I want a low base mag so I can get close. I shoot multiple pigs running. Now, coyote hunter, say in Ohio, I mean, he's hunting those wide open field. He wants a little bit higher base mag because he might have all his shots might be 200-300 yards.
Right.
And it's just. It's
completely
just
different world.
Completely different.
Yeah.
Now, there's some optics out there that have low base mag, like the one I'm running now on my gun. I feel like I'm good from 40 yards to 400 if I can hit anything out 400. But I rarely shoot far at night.
Mm-hmm.
It's a safety factor.
Right.
I mean, just like you saw last night with the cows, and you never know what's out there. But there are guys that want to do that, and there's the optics out there for them.
Right.
If you guy calls me and wants to shoot, I want to shoot coyotes at 500 or 600 yards. I got the optic for him. Right. It's going to cost him.
Yeah.
I
guess the base mag too, and the field of view all that makes a big difference. You know, and I think like because the first one I was running was that Triticon Reap, but then I jumped behind Sean's. We had the MK360, and I'm like, what in the world is this? I was like, I couldn't. I mean, it's way different, you know. And I'm sitting there shooting at a coyote that's, I don't know, I think it was like 350 yards away or so, you know. And I'm like, and then you jump back on the Reap, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, there ain't no way. I said I would have took that poke out there, you know, 'cause it's completely
I think that
different.
one, I'm not
base
sure
mag.
exactly, but I think that's like a 5.5 base mag on that scope. It's like
compared to
super
mine,
high.
1.5, right?
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
like sitting there, and I actually took Sean. I remember I took Sean with me to go hunt, and he hates sitting in a stand. He just
Right.
he's actually a coyote hunter first, hog hunter.
Right.
You know that when it's slow between calling
Right.
coyotes. So Sean from DNA Firearm Systems, we're going out, put him in a stand. Hogs show up in a bait, and I mean this is a bait that's like 50 yards away, and he's got that MK360.
Just couldn't see
and he
nothing.
was like, he shot, and these were years ago, and he was like, yeah, it was. I don't know if it was the head, rear end,
Because
it
it's
was on-
with the 5. That's exactly the point I'm getting into, though. With the
Yeah.
5.5 power, that's for
Yeah.
like the guys in North Dakota that are or South Dakota, or like out in like Arizona that have like
Right.
just wide open thousands of acres, and that's exactly what I'm getting in. So if you tell me you're hunting, you know, in Texas, and you say you want a 5.5 base mag, I'm gonna do you're crazy. Because at 150 yards, it's like all you're gonna just see the whole.
It's going to fill the screen.
You feel the screen.
And you have no idea, like the hunt we did last night with the cows.
Oh,
like
yeah.
the cows over to the left. If you didn't have that base mag where you had that field of view, you would never knew that the cows
It could have
were
been real bad.
crossing.
They were
where
coming.
we
I
were
knew
kinda
they were
shot.
coming, and I could see them, and that's why I was like, "Hurry up, John!
Yeah.
You know, we got to
Yeah.
go." And I mean, if you watch the show, you'll see they crossed right after
Right.
we shoot. They cross,
Yeah.
and I knew they were there. There are
Yeah.
our cows, you know.
Yeah, they were. Oh yeah, we had plenty of space. They weren't quite even up yet, actually. So just so viewers don't think like we were shooting in front of walking cows. They were actually laying down.
Yeah.
But he started to see them get on their knees like they're about to stand up when we took the shot, and then they walked past. But then again, if you didn't have that field of view, you never even knew they were there.
right,
Because
for
where
sure.
we were standing, you couldn't see it because there was a head of trees right there.
Yeah.
You'd never even noticed that was there. But that was yeah. When you guys watch so season 10, you'll see us here at the Medio, and we had a heck of a shoot. We just filmed a couple episodes, called a wild hog in with the Convergent game calls. We've done that. We've done that quite a bit.
We did.
That has
it
been exciting.
last year and this year.
Yeah,
We had
last
him,
year.
Yeah, man, I called these hogs into John. I put him in 50 yards, and he wouldn't shoot. I don't know, he's scared or what was going on, dude. I was like, golly.
Yeah, I'm sitting there with the bow, and we called in 2 pissed off sows. Oh, she was a grunt, and she was mad, and I was like, I can't even draw back. So,
I was like, man, come on, dude, let it rip. I was kind of trying to stand behind him, and I was like, man, they're gonna come up around my side. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but
oh Lord.
yeah, it was all right.
Well, guys, we've had an absolute blast sitting here talking with John from Medio Creek Thermal. Be sure to go check out all of his social media channels. We've got Facebook, Instagram now. It's MCT Outdoors.
No, the website's Medio Creek Thermal now.
But I mean, isn't it Instagram is MCT?
No, it's everything's
Medio.
now it's Medio Creek
Yeah,
Thermal.
yeah,
I changed it. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
so
all-
that was actually we were working on that a few years
Remember?
ago.
Yeah.
So he kept asking me, he's like, I'm kind of thinking about doing MCT, and I'm like, well, if everything's Medio Creek, so it's kind
Yeah,
of
I
like
kind of started. I didn't know what I was doing, and luckily I had people like John and Jason to help me. I was telling John earlier. Me and Jason were sitting in this kitchen that we're in the house we're doing our video in, and I remember Jason. He's looking at my Facebook page, and he's like, "Man, what are you doing on Facebook?" I was like, "Bro, I have no idea." I said,
We're trying to figure it out.
I
yeah.
never had any social media or did
Yeah.
anything like that till I
Right.
started this business, and now of course we got Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Don't do anything on any other platforms, but
Right. Yeah.
yeah, but and
Those are the main ones.
you
got
guys,
the main
they
ones.
helped me out and
Yeah.
kind of got me going in the right way. Watching you guys do stuff and it's greatly appreciated.
Oh yeah, yeah. So guys, be sure to go to Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and you can see all the different videos. And that's a cool thing because John's actually goes out with these optics. he films the hunts that he's actually doing, so you guys will actually be able to see. And then he does voiceovers and talks about the conditions.
Yeah,
That way
yeah,
they
definitely.
know the conditions that's happening, and he kind of walks you through the optic and everything. And there's tons of videos on there that shows all the different optics. So if it's something that you're actually interested in and looking for, be sure to look at all of his pages. And I'm sure if there's an optic that you're interested in, he has a video about it. So, and if not, you could always call him. Where they can they reach you?
Yeah, you can reach me at 979-885-9610. That's actually my cell phone.
Yeah, that's his personal.
Yeah, that's
cell
my
phone.
personal line. Just do all my business right there.
So
Email.
a little slower for the listeners here.
Right, 979-885-9610.
There you go, guys.
And it's all over social media. I mean,
Yeah.
And then another thing I want to mention too, there are a lot of thermal manufacturers out there, but we only sell for we decided to settle on the ones that we're selling for,
Right.
because of the way they handle. Every thermal optic's going to have a problem.
Right.
Every manufacturer, at the end of the day, it's still a computer.
Right.
And how they handle it is what we judge how we pick our manufacturers, because we want them to take care of our guys.
Yeah.
It's just.
Oh, absolutely. And I think, and I know, again, remain nameless. I know there was one company that had, subpar customer service on some of the optics, and now you don't offer them anymore. So that was another thing. It was like, some of the units were great.
Yeah, they were.
But unfortunately, some of them that didn't kind of pan out, and then they just didn't come through where they should have. They could have been an easy fix,
Because guys get upset if they spend that kind of money, and they think, I have to remind people sometimes, hey, I did not build that optic. I just sell them. But we try and pick the right manufacturer is going to take care of our customer, and that's another thing with our customers. Like I'll say, okay, well, we need to go through their process, the manufacturer's process, and get an RA, and if you have a problem, then you call me, and then I'll start, on the call and trying to see if I can say, hey, what's going on with this guy? Why is he not getting taken care of?
Yeah.
And and the manufacturers, for the most part, they're trying to do a good job.
Especially all the ones that you're dealing with,
right?
They've already gone through that process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they're like, John's calling me.
Right? Yeah, I know. Yeah. They sometimes they're like, but normally it's just something that just fell through the cracks. And when you bring attention to it, they're going to take care of it because they're good companies.
Yeah,
Like I said, Pulsar, Envision, IRA, Rix, and Bearing Optics. I mean, they're all great companies. But you can go online, and I'm sure you're going to find a bad review somewhere. But everybody makes mistakes. But for the most part, they handle their business, and that's an important part.
And it's just a personal experience with the sale, the company, the optic and things. So definitely, guys, be sure to go again all the social channels for Medio Creek Thermal. And check them out. And if you guys have any questions for optics, I personally run a Medio Creek optic that I've got on my DNA firearms right now, and have had an absolute blast. And Beth actually was running one this week. She was running that Pulsar.
Yeah, the new Pulsar XG50. That's a solid unit.
And I asked her if I was like, how do you like that? She was like, not as bad as that YSL purse.
Yeah, right. That was funny.
so
I'll just borrow John's. I'll just borrow Medio's. Yeah.
so we had a blast, and she actually smoked a couple hogs, and it was great. And I mean, honestly, like we put it on a rifle, went to the range. John had it sighted in like 2 minutes, and we were killing in just a couple of hours. So had a ball. But guys, we appreciate you listening to another podcast of Hunting the Country 704 style with 704 Outdoors. And you guys check in. We'll have some more great guests. And be sure to follow all the 704 Outdoors social media channels. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, you name it, we got it. And tune in to the 704 Outdoors TV show every Tuesday nights at 7:30, Saturday nights at 10, and it reruns 5 or 6 times throughout the week. But those are our 2 anchor air times. So we'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you, John.
All right, man. Thanks. I enjoyed it.